So when I kind of accidentally stumbled upon Tribe in its initial form as Coffee and Connections, right after I'd had Sophia, my first child, and I'd been trying to find a way to kind of get integrated back into the church. I grew up in this church, and I didn't join the church. I got my third grade Bible here, but I didn't join until I was around 19. Did some things in my 20s, had friends going different ways, and then got married, and my husband didn't really go to church. We're traveling, working, doing different things. So we kind of talked about when we had our first child that, I said, I really want to make sure that we're incorporated back in the church and going more regularly. I felt like it was a lot of pressure to kind of bring that into our family because he didn't grow up in the same way I did. So I just kind of checked it out one day. I didn't know anybody there, but everyone was really nice. And as a new mom, I was a little bit older when I had my first child. So a lot of my friends had already kind of been there, done that. And I didn't really have anybody exactly in the season I was in.
Right.
And they had kids starting preschool and kinder, and I had a brand new baby, and I was trying to find someone that could give me tips about, nursing and different things
and you kind
that I was having struggles with. Yeah.
And you kind of black it all out once you're past that phase.
So it kind of just quickly grew on me, and it just took, one person to kind of be like, oh, yeah, you should come back again. And I owned my own business, so it was, at the time it was easy for me to kind of come in and take that time in the morning. But it led me to the women's retreat that spring, again, where I didn't know anybody except Miranda, and I only knew her peripherally. And she encouraged me to go, and that was kind of the end of it. And now I've made the closest friends with women that I met specifically here that were also somehow, some of them peripherally that I knew outside of Tribe that ended up coming, but I didn't know they were coming. And then we met, so it's just been kind of this progression that's been really, really helpful.
And then it makes it easier to come to church and get more involved.
Right. And your kids recognize the same people over and over. You form that community, not just with your friends, but your kids form a community too.
Yeah. And then you get roped into leading Tribe.
Exactly.
5 years later.
Welcome to the club.
1 year later.
Yeah, I would say how I learned about Tribe was really similar to you, I guess, and my journey at St. Andrews was kind of similar. I also grew up here and in the church, started coming here in junior high. Didn't join the church until I came back as an adult after college. And then, a handful of years after that, I had my first kid, had some postpartum depression after she was born. She was born in early August. And then I remember an announcement at church one day talking about Tribe. And I think it was when they were rebranding from Coffee and Connections to Tribe. I think it was that year. So there was a big push to tell people what Tribe was, what the group was all about. And I thought, at the time my daughter was like a month old. And I was like, I feel like I need that. I need a connection. I need a group. It was too late to sign up for New Mom School at that point. Yeah. MOPS was like just out of our budget, and I think probably too late to sign up for it anyways. So, hey, what about this group? And similar to you, I didn't know anyone else who would be there. So I went the first time with my daughter strapped onto me and was like, well, at least we have each other.
Yeah, we're doing this.
I think she was like 6 weeks old at that point. And it was a phenomenal experience. I think I ended up recognizing like one other person, maybe two people who were there. Yeah. I actually think, Miranda Nelson and Lauren Quinn being those two people that come to mind. And just, eventually meeting like a whole group of amazing moms that just like uplifted and supported. And a lot of my postpartum depression was rooted in like not being able to produce enough to breastfeed and feeling so much guilt over that.
Yeah.
And hearing other moms who didn't have maybe the same exact experience, but that same sort of mom guilt, and knowing how normal that was, and like how, just accept what your wonderfully made body, that God created is able to produce, and go from there and not feel this guilt because God made you exactly the way that you were supposed to be made.
Yeah.
And just hearing that from other moms and the speakers in the group and the mentor moms, it really just started to hit home because it felt like, yeah, this is what God intended for our family. It normalizes
things that you feel very
too.
isolated on otherwise.
Exactly.
That's the
Other
beauty.
moms,
Right.
too.
That's the beauty of the group.
Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I joined after hearing about it from Storytime.
Mm-hmm.
When Madeline was born, it was COVID. So we weren't doing much. And Storytime felt like a safe, place to
Something.
come. Yeah.
A safe something. Yeah.
And loved it. And Miss Casey, of course, comes in and does her announcements and talks about Tribe. And I was like, both of you said, I was really intimidated to go the first time. I didn't know anyone going, but I was desperate for some connection and other moms. And I'm not from here. So I've always wanted to be involved in the church here. My husband grew up coming to St. Andrews since he was like 16 or something like that. And so we've loved it, but didn't have that in to like start coming to things, didn't know what moms came to. And so when Casey said it, I came the first time and I remember thinking it was gonna be like this huge thing.
Yeah.
And that was so intimidating, and it was so welcoming and so easy. And I mean, everyone, it's just easy to be around.
Yeah.
And there were a few other people who were starting for the first time that day, and we kind of all chatted. And now I think all three who it was our first day are involved in leadership.
Yeah.
All got ripped in right away. Yes, exactly. Got us right away. And yeah, it's so easy. And it feels like everyone is just so vulnerable and real.
Yeah.
And
Well, we're all so desperate for that connection.
yes,
Right.
yes. And
especially, like you said, coming out of COVID.
oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, I had my son in about the same time as your daughter in the COVID time. In the COVID time. And and that feeling, like I ended up having delayed postpartum anxiety with him, I think because like Tribe wasn't meeting. So I didn't have those normalizing moments of transitioning from one kid to two kids and saying, this is normal what you're feeling. It is overwhelming. It is hard. And having that community to remind me of that and that we're going to get through it together.
Yeah.
And so, when Tribe came back, it was just like, such a relief.
Such relief.
Such a relief. And to meet new moms who are also had that same experience, I don't think the anxiety really melted away until that, it got better.
Right.
Yeah.
But to hear like we all went through this together.
And this is what we're experiencing coming out of it.
Right.
And our kids are
getting each other
experiencing
through it. Yeah, it's been amazing.
Well, it's interesting too. So I was even thinking, okay, Sophia's 6 now. The twins are going to be 4 in November. With Lilia, I'm like, am I still going to need this group, right? Or am I going to be one of the moms that phases out? Well, it's interesting what you say about COVID because that greatly impacted my 3rd pregnancy.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't go to yoga. I couldn't go to all these places. Brick and mortar studios had closed. I had a very different pregnancy because of that. And I have 3 other children. And I dealt with all the postpartum, not so much the depression. Christine, you and I have talked about this, anxiety and rage, which is even lesser, something that's even less spoken about.
Yes.
And I still deal with it.
Yes.
But it just solidified my need to return to Tribe, and it is just a regular part of my schedule now because everything is different, as we were just talking about. Every pregnancy is different, every child is different, and all these little phases as the children grow are different. And the dynamic then is different between the children, between the parents in the marriage.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot harder. So interestingly enough, I have 4 kids, and I need Tribe more than ever now with my 4th one
Yeah.
than I did in the very beginning. Even though I know way more and, been there, done
We
that
know way more.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you realize that, you never know enough, and you
Yeah.
never have all the answers.
No.
And you learn that a lot of the things that you experience as a mom, or, whether it's as a mom with your children or as a mom or as a wife with your spouse,
Yes. Well, you bring up a great point about
they
the
are
spousal
cyclical
relationship.
also,
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
repetitive. You have another child, and here you go, the sleepless nights again, and all those kinds of things come
Yeah.
back. And so I don't ever want to leave Tribe.
I know.
I'm like, I don't ever want to, graduate out of
we
it.
need to like have graduating steps of like, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's why we
I
have
know
Tribe
exactly.
Nights, guys.
When I finally have an evening, I can attend. But I mean, that I literally don't feel like I could ever
No,
do
I
without
feel the
it.
same way.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah.
So I think my like most impactful Tribe day was the day where we just did prayer requests.
Yes.
And it was so unique. I think it was the first time we've ever done that, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
And it was later in the year, so we've all kind of gotten to know each other a little bit. There's still new people there.
Right.
But just going around in our small table and talking about prayer requests and being open and honest about what's going on, and then having Casey go and pray over the whole group. And I didn't expect her to say everyone's prayers. But then I loved it so much because I felt so much more connected to everyone. And there was not a single person there who didn't give an honest, vulnerable answer. And I think that's so hard to find in this time of social media and people making being a mom look so easy and so photogenic and and just wonderful.
Right.
And it is wonderful. But it's hard. And I feel like, Stephanie, you've said so many things that have stuck out to me at Tribe of just being so honest and saying, like, I remember you saying, I haven't cooked in a really long
I
time.
remember that day.
And I loved it so
Yeah.
much because I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
And I'm in
Yeah.
that stage right now of I am not cooking while I'm pregnant. It just is
Yeah.
not happening. And knowing, like, that's okay. And I'm not
Yeah.
alone in that. And I mean, that's
Yeah.
a silly example, but it
No, but
it
it's
makes
a
you
very
feel
real-
heard.
It's something we deal with every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I loved the prayer day, and I really want to do it again this year because I
Yes,
think
I
it
love
was
that.
so impactful and
Yeah.
wonderful.
I must have missed that. I don't remember
I missed that one.
being there for
I
that.
missed
I
that.
would
It
have
was when
loved
I
that.
had COVID, actually, which is why we did that
Oh.
day, because I think I was
It
supposed to
was-
lead something that day.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It's the best like
I know.
filler day.
Yeah,
we've
that
had.
sounds
great.
like.
It was wonderful.
And Casey is such the prayer warrior.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you have
Yeah.
one?
I mean, I feel like I have so many snippets of things, but
I know.
I mean, there's definitely, obviously, with my aunt passing, that wasn't a positive memory, but
Right.
it was, in fact, pretty powerful because I had the baby with me, who was only
She was young.
maybe 4 months old
Yeah.
at that time.
And you had
I mean,
found
barely
out
a newborn.
at Tribe, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I got the message while I
Uh-huh.
was there. My mom had gone out, and then she passed away while my mom was there.
Yeah.
It was my mom's sister, and so we were down in the
The
basement
youth
area,
center.
the youth center area. So
Yeah.
I didn't get great service. I was trying to go up, and really the most amazing part of that was not even the care for me, but the care for the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like Alyssa just pulled out. She's like, "You had everything measured, so I just figured I dumped this in here and gave it to because the baby was screaming and
Yeah.
and it was just
But if I could add on to that,
Yeah.
to like just tell everyone about what happened with you was, I mean, I think immediately you had a group of like 5 women or something
Yeah.
like that huddle around you. And I wasn't in the huddle, but you could just like feel the Holy Spirit in that moment and like how beautiful it was. I don't know if they were praying for you or just hugging you or what happened, but it was
Yeah.
a gorgeous thing to witness.
Yeah, I guess I don't really remember because I was
Yeah.
inside.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, I do. I remember feeling
Yeah.
an incredible sense of community and even the prayers for my mom because I was
Yes.
more upset for her loss than anything for
Mhm.
myself, you
Yeah.
know. And it was the fact that I couldn't be there with her. And I couldn't even reach her at the time because
Oh.
they had, you know, doctor people coming in and all of this and yeah. So just to really be taken care of in that moment, but also know that it's stretched beyond me, you
Yeah.
know, and extended to my family
Right.
and I've always felt that even when you know, even when I didn't know as many people, you know, it was kind of one of those things. I just kind of kept going, you know, because I could feel, as you said, Liz, that there was something special going on. And I've always been one personally. I've been through a lot of very difficult things in my life with family and friends, and you know everything from mental illness to my own postpartum and different things. And I've always been one that's felt that it's better to share because there just might be somebody that you can help that isn't able to talk about those things or that didn't know that somebody else was going through them. And I think that's really where I found my place in Tribe was because of that. Because it was a place where women were being vulnerable. And I grew up in this area, I mean, born and raised. And, you know, everyone has their own thoughts about kind of the community and the people here. It was hard growing up here for me. I never really felt that I fit in. I'm talking in the city, not necessarily the church, but even a little bit in the church when I was younger because I didn't come as regularly and I didn't know all the people, you know. So as an adult, it was very different coming into this, into Tribe, into the church, and wanting to have that experience and being in a different place where I could just kind of keep going, even though maybe I wasn't totally comfortable because I didn't know many people. But I found a community,
Yeah.
and I, you know, I'm very closely intertwined now with this community, and it feels amazing
Yeah.
to have found that connection in this place where it wasn't easy for me when I was growing up, and to be back here and to feel that. But I think that yeah,
That's such
I
a great
do-
point, though. Like, this community, it's hard to sometimes be a Christian in our community. You know, there's so much materialism, and especially the being a young mom, and I mean, or maybe this is all mom, but the competition and like you
Yeah.
were saying earlier, the social media of the comparison. And I think for me, like, that is something I agree with you that I noticed, like, my very first Tribe meeting was that that feeling of these are women like me. I
Right.
found
Totally.
a group that they're open and honest and nice and kind
And welcoming. So
welcoming.
Yeah.
And how crazy to find a group, like, genuinely a group of 40 or so of those women in this
Right.
community who all meet together. I mean,
It's amazing.
I
I mean,
really,
it really is.
I don't think I've ever. I'm like trying to think. I don't think I've ever walked into a Tribe thinking, like, oh, am I cute enough? Am I like, does my
No.
makeup look good?
No.
I go in yoga pants sometimes.
Yeah.
My hair up. I'm like, I just ran out the door. I think a couple times I've
Yeah.
gone with no makeup on. Like,
And
truly,
it doesn't
come as you are.
Yeah.
Truly,
And you know what? I love that because I know that if I'm in a flurry, it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
But
we just want to see you.
Also,
yeah.
as a first-time mom with Sophia, it gave me motivation to want to put myself together.
Yeah,
to
that
get
too.
somewhere.
Or just somewhere to go.
Right.
To
Exactly.
put yourself together.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes,
So it
yes.
wasn't about like being all put together and putting on a show. It was just that in those really early months
Yeah.
when you have those tiny babies, even with the twins, like even though Sophia was older, then I had the twins, it was like, get yourself up, get
Yeah.
out the door. You have somewhere to go that
Yeah.
you really want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like basic things. Get up and shower.
I
Put clothes on.
I was just thinking that. I remember
Like,
one time at Tribe,
Put
it
on
was
something
like,
that isn't covered in spit up.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
One
the
time
goal.
at Tribe,
That
it
was
was
my
like,
goal.
say something good that happened to you like this week. And I literally stood up and was like, the baby slept in and I was able to take a shower this morning before I came here.
And that's a win.
And everyone was like, are you serious? That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
To be in a group of women that understand what that means.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
this is, I tell my husband all the time, I said, this is no joke.
Yeah.
Like this season of motherhood and mothering, I mean, I question myself all the time. I question
Every decision.
every decision I make. I question, if I, I don't believe God would have given us these amazing children if he didn't
Exactly.
think I could mother them. But
Exactly.
the days sometimes are so hard that
Yeah.
it's like, are you sure, God, that I am fit to mother these kids? Like
Yeah.
that's how it feels. And be a wife.
Yeah.
And
Run
be
a business.
be a working professional,
Build a house.
outside the home,
Yeah.
and do all these things, and feel pulled in a million directions.
Totally.
But I feel like the one thing that Tribe has really done for me, which is why, even though literally God knows I have no extra time, why I felt compelled to kind of step up, and Liz and I both did, is it's kind of my rock.
Yeah.
It's this stable force in my life that is there, where even if all the people I know aren't there that day, or it's different, it doesn't matter. It's just, that's my Wednesday morning,
Yeah.
no matter what else is going on. I mean, unless I'm sick or the kids are sick and there's a reason I'm there, and I have been for over 5 years now.
Yeah.
Well, and we talked about this, but when I first started coming to Tribe, I was going to another group, mom group, and loved it. But when work got crazy and I couldn't do all of it, Tribe is what it's a non-negotiable. It has to happen.
Right.
And there were a couple of times where I had to miss Tribe because of work. And in the afternoon, I was like, oh, I got a lot done. But so what? And then when I go to Tribe, it's a different day. You feel so.
It's a different week.
Exactly. You feel so
Yeah.
much more fulfilled and supported, and just
Right.
Because
the reality is, as a mom, there's nobody patting you on the back.
exactly.
I've told my husband that. I said, I did really well in school, both degrees. I do well in my profession, and in all those things that I've done in my life, you have somebody, you have a client that says, oh, this is amazing, I love it.
Yeah.
And you get that validation, and you do. So here you are as a mom.
Which is your greatest challenge,
Your greatest challenge,
job,
your greatest
where your heart
achievement,
is.
your hardest job.
Yeah.
And there's no instruction manual.
Right.
You have no schooling for it.
Mm-hmm.
You're thrown into it, literally, like, here's the
Literally.
baby.
Yeah, literally.
And go
Now you're a
now go
mom,
home. Yeah.
and you go home like a day or two later. And
good luck.
And good luck. And there's no one day in and day out with you, except for God. But there's no affirmation, there's no validation that you're doing okay, that it's okay that you, didn't make dinner today. It's okay that your kids grabbed a cereal bar out of the pantry this morning because you had 3 work calls and couldn't get breakfast on the table. So you asked them to go grab a cereal bar.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay that you feel like this is hard, because it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Tribe is. It's each week.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting that validation that moms don't get otherwise. I'm sure that there are, there's a lot of phenomenal husbands out there and phenomenal dads. But depending on, their love language, which is another group, another class. Depending on how that is, in mine, that's not really his love. It's my love language, but it's not his. So it's very hard for me because I really need that. I need to hear that I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
There's only so much I can tell myself from within that, like, this is okay. You're not alone. But then it's being able to reach out to a friend outside of tribe, being able to text my tribe group. There were a group of us when we had COVID that either met via Zoom or when it was safe, met once a month outside at someone's house.
Amazing.
And so we kind of had this text group, and we kept that going. And I am convinced that that's the only reason why any of us survived COVID.
Yeah.
Because we
Agreed.
had that established.
Yeah.
And who knows what's, hopefully that's phased out. But to have that and just, I know even Casey has told me, like, she has her group of friends and sometimes she'll just text pray,
Yeah.
if she's having a hard day. And I've done that too, no explanation needed, because we all get it. And that's the most amazing thing about all these moms. And like you said, just down to earth, genuine people, willingness to be vulnerable, which is so, so critical in this time of technology and social media, which I know you're a little bit younger than me, but, I didn't really grow up with. I'm in that,
Yeah, I didn't either.
I had that, like, didn't have a cell phone and then had a flip phone, I think, in college. No, they didn't even have flip phones. It was just the little one, like in college kind of thing. Like, I'm on that cusp and, but it, which is weird because you think I'd be past it. But as a mom, you see these posts of like, oh, I'm posing for anthropology today, and my daughter's in mini anthropology today, and here's like hashtag anthropology, whatever. I love anthropology. But it's, but you see that stuff and you're like,
Like, I
how
haven't
are
washed my
they?
hair in a week.
How are
I
they
need to
doing
work
this?
out clothes.
I've been out of face wash for 4 days. Now. Like, seriously, like, I don't even have time to order it or go pick it up. I'm like using water. Like, that's the reality.
That's funny.
So I don't know. It's
So I don't have like a memory that I can think of. I've been over here thinking, and I think I kind of already talked about it. Just that first meeting, I'm feeling so validated, being in the thick of that like mental postpartum depression feeling. And I remember the speaker was like a back to school speaker, and here I am with like a 6-week-old on me, and I was like, this doesn't relate to me at all. Like, not in the slightest. But these women around my table are so nice and so genuine, and I have to come back and see what this group is all about.
Yeah, come
And
for the
I
coffee,
guess-
stay for the connection.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the.
And so fast forward, what would it be, 3 years later, and COVID hits, and somehow I get roped into leading Tribe during COVID and figuring out the speakers, and getting that emailed to us once a month and sending that out. And then
You did a phenomenal job, by the way.
Thank you. And then shocker, no one wants to step up for the next year when we're coming back in person. So Christine's doing it again.
Yeah.
And but I have to say that this past year, so that was this past year, I think my faith grew potentially more in that 1 year than it has like in my entire life. And I think that has so much to do with, we're still like sort of in this COVID phase. Do we meet inside? Do we meet outside?
Right.
How many people are even going to show up? Is our speaker even going to show up?
Right.
Whatever we have scheduled, do we have to have like a backup plan? And I really had to come to terms with the fact that God is in control of every person who shows up, and like whether it's the moms, the mentor moms, or the speaker, or whatever the activity was. God already knows what we're supposed to be doing that day and how we're supposed to be connecting that day. So if everything fell through and we're like, oh my gosh, what do we do? I don't know. let's just pray, I guess, because we don't have another option, which ended up being the memory that
Yes.
Liz said was her favorite.
Mhm.
And so many people have said that was their favorite day. God knew that that was how that day was supposed to go, and that we all needed to bond even further and have those connections. And so just, I don't know. I think my like just life has evolved so much in this past year because of seeing the evidence of trusting God in Tribe and making every week a smashing success, even if it wasn't what we planned. And just trust, and seeing that evidence has made me trust him with my entire life going forward.
It's amazing.
It's been awesome.
The growth is a really, I felt it too, and I just kind of wanted to piggyback off of what you just said, because I came into this, I mentioned that I quote unquote grew up in the church, got my 3rd grade Bible here, joined when I was a young adult, still in college, did some groups in my 20s. That's kind of it. So I was really intimidated to even consider coming into a group at the church, so to speak, because, while I grew up in a strong Christian family, my parents still attend. My dad was an elder here years and years ago. But I never felt that strong.
Yeah.
So it was a bit intimidating. And I think that's what I have found, maybe as kind of a more general overall memorable experience of this, is the transformation that's taken place within myself in the last 5 years, coming into that first meeting, not knowing anyone, being uncomfortable, and knowing that I wasn't really even that comfortable. Like, I'll pray in church, but praying in like small group settings and it's never really been a very comfortable thing for me, because I never felt that I was very good at it, which is kind of a silly thing. I mean, when I think about it now, but
I think
but
a lot
it's a
of people
very
feel
real
that
feeling,
way.
and
Totally.
and that's
Totally.
very much how I felt. So that's the amazing thing, is from the very first day, once I walked in, I wasn't intimidated at all.
Yes, I agree.
And now I've
completely.
seen this progression, this transformation within myself, from that woman that walked in over 5 years ago to now where I am. And it doesn't mean I'm any more comfortable necessarily quoting scripture or,
Right.
praying over other people. I feel like more times, like I said with Casey, like I need people to pour prayer over me. But being connected in this group and feeling that I didn't need to be intimidated, I wasn't intimidated, and that there was this deeper connection, this spiritual level, the Holy Spirit or whatever it is that we feel when we're together.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a presence that's there. So it's just so amazing to me.
It is amazing.
I'm not finding the right words that I want to find right now for it. But,
well, it's hard to describe.
Yeah.
It is hard to describe.
Yeah.
But just for my personal experience, coming
Yeah.
from this, not being super comfortable, I haven't read the Bible front to back. I've only done a couple small groups. I think actually I may not have even done any really at that point in time. I did one after with some of the women that I had met. But that's just, it's never been something I've been very comfortable with.
Yeah.
And so to come into this Christian-based women's group and just kind of be able to ease right into it, I mean, I truly think that there is something miraculous going on here
Absolutely.
with this group, which is why I've wanted to stay involved and stay connected and, and help
Yeah.
I think it's so
keep
interesting.
it going.
Exactly what you said. I was nervous the first time, had no idea what to expect, and I've never been nervous coming in ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of crazy.
It's weird,
It
right?
is
Especially like we
crazy.
said, in this area with like a bunch of women you don't
Yeah.
know,
And
and
I'm not from here. I don't know many
yeah,
people.
especially not being
Right.
from here.
And,
Yeah,
and I loved hearing that from you too, that somebody who grew up here, grew up coming to St. Andrews, still, has their moments here
yeah.
and not feeling necessarily welcomed in other
absolutely.
groups. And
Yeah,
This is a tough area to be in.
it
I mean, I
is.
think everywhere is.
There's every place
To a
has
degree,
their
yeah.
but especially as there's
It's unique.
it's unique in its setting, and it's a blessing to be able to live here and come here and
Yeah.
enjoy the beautiful surroundings. But it also brings with it certain challenges, which is why I think that the tribe group is so invaluable
It is.
to
It is.
get that deeper connection, because I feel that most women, at least I know all the women that are coming, but even friends that I have that I grew up with, crave that deeper connection,
Yeah. Well,
especially going into the season of having children and young children, and and even older children. There's children are children. Period.
Totally.
I mean, there's always going to be a unique set of challenges depending on what age they're at.
yeah. Well, and saying your deeper connection, if I could just make a little Tribe Nights plug really quick.
Yeah.
Just, and the deeper connection. So it's something that we totally crave, that deeper connection. And we get that through the morning group when our kids are young, especially.
Right.
And then as they evolve and as our schedules evolve, it's great to be able to bring them at night too, and bring the kids with you, because
Yes.
you're not only developing that deeper connection, that continuing connection with moms who have kids who are getting a little bit older, but your kids are now in a setting where they're gaining deeper connection and they're forming friendships with other kids
Right.
in the church too, and continuing to learn about God.
Yeah.
And that is so special too.
Tribe was actually,
no,
real
go.
quick interject
Yeah.
on that. Tribe was actually part of my daycare
Yeah.
when Sophia was little,
Mm-hmm.
because I did the parent-child class with her one morning a week,
Mm-hmm.
and I did Tribe one morning a week.
Yep.
Parent-child, we were in together. She was on her own for part of it. Tribe, she went straight to the nursery.
Yep.
That was my 2-day-a-week childcare with a 1-year-old to help get her socialized.
Yep.
And then she started she went through the preschool here as well. But I love, love, love that my kids know this campus.
Yes.
So
Oh my
even
gosh,
on
love
Sunday,
that
just
so
this
much.
past, Sophia was like, "Oh, Mama, like Lizzie and her sister were
Yep.
in class today, and she has friends.
Yes.
And they're so
And
comfortable here.
So comfortable.
They know the staff, and
Mhm.
and it's and I just so crave that for them too, because I know with how much the world is constantly evolving and everything out there, it is just so important for them to have that foundation.
100%.
And the fact that the church and Tribe, that childcare is able to be offered is huge, not just for the mom
Right.
to have her deeper connection,
It's great for
but
the
for
kids.
the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
that
It's
was-
phenomenal.
That was free childcare, and I had been looking at,
Free childcare with like Christian love pouring into them.
Right.
Not just
Exactly.
free childcare,
Yeah.
but like they're getting
but like in
true,
a
genuine
loving,
Christian
nurturing
love.
environment.
Yeah.
And it's truly the only place I've ever really felt safe, like leaving my kids, other than their, preschool class,
Sure.
in terms of outside sitters and things like that. And it's just, it was, and they were always so happy to go,
Yes.
So I'm actually sad that the boys didn't get to experience as much of that because of COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Sophia, went straight through, and I think that that's just a really amazing thing that,
Yeah.
you can feel connected and you're right downstairs if it's a newer baby, or you're not as, or you can bring the baby. We
Yeah,
all did.
I was
Yep,
going to say,
we all
I'm
brought
so
We all brought
excited
the
to
new
bring
babies.
this baby
Oh,
and have this
yeah.
baby loved on. Like,
Yeah.
it's so
true.
special to watch
Yes.
Yep.
the moms bring their newborns and
Yep.
to watch them grow up. And
Yeah, Lilia
That's
got her
great.
time last year coming with me,
Yeah.
and now this year she's going to be getting loved on in the nursery.
Yay.
So, yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.